You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Tell you what, Rosie, I have a bone to pick with the Ottawa Senators today. How are you, buddy?
With the Sen Dogs, what do you got going on with them?
New coach bump. It seemed like an easy bet, up 3-0, and they puked all over themselves. Like, there is an accurate feeling and depiction and video of how I'm feeling today. So let's roll that video first and foremost. This was at the Devils game last night. Your boy got into it, I guess, lost in the sauce. But that's how I feel about the Ottawa Senators today after losing that bet last night.
What else are you supposed to do up in the nosebleeds but gas a bunch of you know what? This has happened to every single one of us. If you partake in the odd liquor drank and some dome beers or wherever you are, and you can tell that's coming right out of the belly. I feel bad for the kid that it happened in such a public space where there's nowhere to go up in the nosebleeds. But yeah, he definitely. My brother had to teach me when I was young. He's like, once you get a little buzz on, then you just take her easy. I didn't know that. I just thought you went full gas the whole time. And I did a little projectile vomiting around grandma's cabin one day too.
Oh.
So I feel for this kid.
Is
Things
that
happen.
right?
Yeah,
Grandma's cabin, and you just went full send.
Huh. It was actually my 18th birthday, and people are giving me fireball shots. Do you guys do that out east, man?
Yeah.
Or no, not fireball, prairie fire.
Okay,
So
yes.
I think it's whiskey with a bunch of Tabasco in it or something, just as bad as you can get. So I'm doing those. We're at a pub restaurant, and then we go out, Lord knows, and I just wake up face down, and there's a mound of puke with French fries with teeth marks in them all over the place. And I had to go retrieve my fake teeth from the flower bed at the pub the next day. It was an ugly scene, man.
And how did Grandma feel about that? How did Grandma feel?
Oh, it was originally Grandma's, but we kind of took it over. So she ain't got to know about it.
Oh, Grandma doesn't know unless she listens to this podcast. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she did.
She has trouble working technical devices these days.
Okay, there you go. Well, we're going to have to get her on the pod at the Leafs Nation 401, presented by Betano. The Wednesday edition of Leafs Morning Take. Again, that's Jay Rosehill. I'm Nick Alberga. And a couple things on that. The Flyers beat the Devils in OT. And that guy looked like he was 7 years old, and the drinking age is 21. So I don't know what's going on there, if he's got some concealed alcohol coming into the building. But that's the first thing I thought about, his age, and number two, how much did he have to drink? Because clearly he got lost in the sauce in that game.
Yeah, ugly look. Like I said, I feel bad he had to do that in public. I think many people have been there, but you can tell that's a puke that's coming right from the bottom of the barrel, baby. Ooh, feels good to get out of you, though, but you're in one, that's for sure. Poor kid.
Oh, yeah, he was in one.
Maybe he was 21. It was his 21st birthday is what I'd say. Here's some tickets up to the top deck. Enjoy yourself. Have some beers. It's legal. Nothing to worry about. Overserved himself.
That's probably accurate. Probably came back from school, back with the family for the next little while, full send with the boys, watch the Devils play. That's exactly what happened. I think you paint a perfect picture. Speaking of picture, what'd you think of that gift the Leafs gave to John Tavares for his 1,000th point? So they honor him on Tuesday. They gave him a painting.
I know. I was wondering where you hang that big goddamn monster. Beautiful painting and stuff like that, but like, you think he's just going to fire that up over the mantle? I don't know what you really do with that. I don't know what else you're supposed to do, though. But the big thing to me is, the Leafs are a class organization. The silver stick is just the epitome of a wicked career. You get one when you get 1,000 games, and now he's got one for his 1,000th point as well. And then, obviously, the Leafs got to go a notch above and get the kids a silver Twiggy little mini stick, too, which is wicked something to do. It's typical Leafs to be top class like that. They don't spare anything. Why would they? They're worth several $billion, and sometimes they think of ways to spend money. But a nice sight with the family. Mrs. Tavares got her hair all feathered out real nice. She looks classy as could be. What a great hockey mama. And a little honor for Johnny Boy there. It's good to see.
I was going to say, like, it has been really cool to see over the last, like, week and a half, 2 weeks, like, the Tavares family. You see none of them. And we were actually talking off air about how John Tavares is so meaningful to this organization and how he's so stoic. And I think that's perfect for the captaincy in this market. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. But it's been fun to like peel back the curtain and see his upbringing, see his parents, his family, his kids. Like I think it's really cool. You don't really see that side of John Tavares.
Yeah, he's turning into one of those just
all right, we're gonna have to reconnect with Rosie. I think we lost him here, but I think what he was going on to say is that he's been leadership personified. Like to me, it reminds me a lot of Sidney Crosby, where it's like you know nothing about the private life of Sidney Crosby. It's very similar to John Tavares, eh?
Yeah, Sid definitely keeps it pretty quiet, man. And I played with a buddy. I played with a guy who was his best buddy in Rimouski, and they still stayed in touch. And he said that, you know, just the people around him said, hey, keep your personal life to yourself. Don't overshare. And I mean, if he's out at the bar, he's sneaking around and trying not to be seen. When he was younger, if he's meeting a girl or, you know, he keeps that on the lowdown. And he just got the advice from the people who came before him who said, keep that shit separate, be a professional at the rink. And he's done nothing but that. Like there's a guy who's just going to go through his whole career without any controversies, without any scandals, without any arrests or anything like that. He's had the right people around him since he's a young kid. And Johnny T, while he's not quite at Sid's level, is cut from the same cloth.
Some folks in the chat have mentioned it was a gold stick, multiple gold sticks given out to the family, not a silver stick. Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
Bit of a different color, but still nonetheless really cool. I just wonder who you commissioned to do that painting. Like, where do you even get that painting commissioned?
The painting, I don't know, man. And I just
thought it was interesting.
Where's he
you know
gonna
what?
put that,
When Brad Treliving was unveiling the painting, I thought it was going to fall over. Like I don't think he knew where to pull the cord, and it scared me a bit.
Jesus. Well, those twigs, though, I'll tell you, I've seen them in. They're heavy. They're real. Like they're no joke. And it's your actual stick with your actual pattern. And then all the way down the shaft, it's got your stats and the teams you've played for in the years and everything like that. They are unbelievably cool keepsakes for the guys that can get up to 1,000. And then I guess the 1,000 points has got to be a gold twiggy too. So that's cool. But fun fact, Jake Gardner, when we were playing with them in Toronto, he was not short on confidence, and all the vets called him Silver Twiggy because he acted like he already had 1,000 games in the show.
And what has he played, 100?
I don't know.
That wasn't the jab.
Not
He's
enough.
been injured the last couple of years.
I think he has. Yeah, he kind of fell off the planet, but nice kid, had lots of talent. But yeah, guys thought he acted like he had 1,000 games already. It made me chuckle at that nickname.
That's a pretty damn good nickname. I should tell you about another fantastic keepsake. Bring on the team spirit. Unleash your inner MVP with the game-changing varsity collection from Nation Gear. Embrace the winning spirit by repping your favorite team with pride. Shop the varsity collection and more at nationgear.ca as we get set for a jam-packed show. We're going to talk some Leafs Rangers, getting set for Buffalo tomorrow night. And Adam Copeland from AEW, formerly Edge of WWE, is going to drop by in about 20 minutes or so. A big-time Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
Yeah, it'll be cool. We've had him on before. He's a passionate fan, so we'll check out where his head's at as far as this Maple Leafs roster is concerned.
Got a lot to say for sure. That's coming up in about 20 at the Leafs Nation 401, where you can subscribe here on YouTube. One thing I would ask, if you're subscribing via pod, wherever you get your podcasts, leave us a review. A 5-star rating would be fantastic. Really push the envelope when it comes to the podcast world. Appreciate everybody here on YouTube at the Leafs Nation 401. Once again, as we bring you the appetizer brought to you by DoorDash, for a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off, up to $10 in value, and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app. Enter code NATION25. That's code NATION25 in uppercase for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Offer valid in Canada, subject to change. Terms apply. So the New York Rangers return serve after what happened last week. I thought it was a pretty pro game, man. Like hard hitting, good game, tight checking, physical. The Rangers are a really good team. And I left that game not as disappointed as other losses. I thought the Leafs had a good account of themselves and just a couple bounces didn't go their way last night.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you just can't. You're not going to pull your hair out after every loss, and it's different being on the other side of it here and watching on TV and then judging and rating and critiquing and everything like that. It's kind of easy to go down the old. We expect to win every single game, which just is not it's not possible. And that was one of the games where, and one of the few games too, where it's just like, you know what, 82 game slate. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to have those games. You're going to play against a good opponent. They had every reason to bring everything and chuck it at them all night long. They did play pretty well, but easily could have matched that. But sometimes, man, you're like, I remember being on the bench and it's just like, every bounce doesn't go your way. Every call doesn't go your way. You can't get a power play. You can't get momentum. And it's not one of those screaming and yelling, like, let's get our shit together. Like, you're doing things right. You're playing the system. You're getting the ozone time. You got your puck possession times up and just not going your way. And every time they shoot one, it makes a little bounce and the goalie's going, where the hell's the puck tonight? And it's bouncing off guys' skates, even though they're in the right position. And it is kind of what it is. I think 3 goals were just these little bouncers that easily could have gone the other way. And at the end of the day, I think even Keefe said, you got to chalk it up to that once in a while. No power plays, no puck luck. You kind of got to shrug your shoulders and say, hey, we brought what we could. It wasn't our night. Move on and focus on the next game is kind of all you can do with that one and just park it.
Rosie, why are the Leafs always so, one of those teams that are the least penalized teams in the league? Like, I don't know how the Toronto Maple Leafs, when you boast superstar talents, and again, I'm not going to be that guy who bangs the drums for power plays, but I don't know how you go an entire hockey game and don't get one single power play. When Austin Matthews scores 2 goals, the puck's always on his stick. You think he would draw one call, but it's always the case with this team. It makes no sense, and it's been a thing for seasons now.
Yeah, I don't know why. They're kind of a puck possession team who plays, they're not the hardest fighting, battling team in the world. They're not driving the net ferociously and causing chaos left, right, and center, which would lead the team to be hooking and holding them and hauling them down and getting in their face and causing scrums and trips and all that kind of stuff. They just don't really command that. I don't know if I follow the old, the Leafs get screwed by the refs in the league. Lots of people think that the Leafs get the benefit of the doubt more often than not that don't, cheer for the Leafs and don't like the Leafs fans. So I don't follow that, but I just think that when I can't bring myself to say they're getting screwed. Like, there's no reason to think of it. You're going to have your games. If you want to go follow the Columbus Blue Jackets all year long, you'll be able to pick and choose and cherry pick situations where they didn't get the benefit of the doubt. They had no calls tonight. They had no power plays. Oh, they got shitty calls against them and soft, weak ones. But I think it's just the way it is with human refs and just the way it goes sometimes. But it is rare that in the NHL you don't get a single power play in a night. But personally, I like it when the refs put the whistle away and let the guys play. Unfortunately, I don't think we have the team to make the big blood boiling intense games that can happen when the guys put the whistle away and don't knock momentum down all the time. So it just is what it is. I don't like to read too far into it.
Well, I mean, apparently the Rangers are good enough to draw 2 penalties because they went 2 for 2 in the power play. And sometimes it's a difference in a hockey game. Again, I'm not going to sit here and hoot and holler about that. It's becoming a theme with this team. And for some reason, they can't draw power plays. They can't draw 5-on-3s too. Like, that's the big story for the last couple of years. They never get 5-on-3s.
No way.
It's crazy.
I don't know. What's your theory? They're getting fucked?
No, it's somebody's got to do some digging. Like, it's weird. It doesn't make sense to me for a team with that much talent and that you're not getting calls.
What's the power play to PK ratio? I'd like to know. I should have looked that up, but if it's super, super lopsided, you got to start wondering.
So all I'm doing is wondering on this podcast. Speaking of wondering, what did you make of the body of work of Martin Jones? So 4 goals on 35. It was fluky. It was fluky at the best of them. And I think he came out after the game and said the third one he wants back. I think there's no doubt about that. Braden Schneider, out of all players on the ice, goes right through a bad pinch or whatever by Jake McCabe. Then sort of a half-ass type back check thing by John Tavares. And then he puts it away where I think he sort of fanned on it. But all in all, I thought Martin Jones was a great story in the first period. It was a bit of a slow start for both sides, specifically the Leafs. But I think it was a good account of him.
Yeah, the score didn't reflect his play, I don't think. We talked about the fluky bounces and stuff. That's tough. And when that's going for you in a game, on a team, of course, it's going to be the one stop that you actually needed that sneaks by, and that's the difference maker. And something's going on with my stuff today, but it's okay. You needed the one stop, right? You could have overcome the bounces and the tricky stuff, but you needed the one stop didn't get it. And again, one of those nights, just nothing really went well for anyone, including Martin Jones.
Yeah, and I think, again, the conversation will start for Thursday's game. So they play the Buffalo Sabres in Buffalo on Thursday, in Columbus on Saturday. And it's always the same combo in this market. Who starts the next game and who starts the next game? Who would you go with on Thursday? Is it Jones again, or is it Ilya Samsonov in that pressure cooker? Because I think there's a lot of variables, a lot of moving parts with Buffalo, but they got stomped by Columbus. And you wonder if a new head coach could be coming in there, a change could be made. More times than not, you see a bounce back from NHL teams after they're throttled. And I just wonder if you want to put Ilya Samsonov in that type of position on the road in a building Toronto has struggled with historically in the past.
I don't know. Like, what are you gonna? Where are you gonna put him in? You're gonna put him against
Columbus?
Boston or Tampa, Columbus? Okay, save him for Columbus. I don't care. Columbus or Buffalo, I don't really care. You got to go out there and you got to make plays. They got to make plays, and he's got to make saves. And I don't know, man. It's a coin flip to me. It doesn't matter. Sammy's got to play one of the games. Split hairs all you want. It's a game in Buffalo or a game in Columbus. To me, he's got to go out there and make the saves. So coin flip to me. I kind of think they'll go to Sammy. I don't think they want to send a message of, you're on the shelf, buddy. We got our number one now. I think they're going to say, no, we're still switch hitting. Keep your confidence. Let's get one here in Buffalo. And I think they'd go towards him. But again, coin flip. I could be wrong. I don't think it matters.
No, I agree. I think you got to be simplistic. You win, you play, you don't, the next guy's up. I think you have to restore faith it's some semblance of faith at the very least in Ilya Samsonov. So I'd put him in there on Thursday. Producer Eric doing a great job, by the way. The Leafs have the 7th lowest PP per game in the NHL. So there's your answer on that front. Could only wonder if they actually got opportunities like other teams, how this team would look, where they would fare. I was reading last night, they're in the top 5 now in goals scored in the league like right away. And it helps when you put up 6, what was it against, or 5 against Columbus last week, and 7 spot on Pittsburgh. But it's pretty crazy how good this team is at scoring goals.
Yeah. Matthews last night was just like, it's like, how do you it's just easy for him, man. Where guys usually have to like get in the spot, corral the puck, look at what's open, check out where you're shooting, and then get the shot off clean and execute the accuracy. He just does it in just one swift motion. Like, his eyes are fucking closed, man. It's disgusting like that. His second goal, short side there. I mean, you leave him open for 2 seconds and it's just off the fucking, that cross member, that U-bar, that connection there on the elbow of the net that he just picks. You give him a spot the size of a puck and he just wires it there like it's a joke to him. It's scary. And the first one too, it's like you have nothing but traffic, nothing but sticks all over you. But if you just let him release that quick shot, it's going in the only opening that's available to him, and he labels it. It's getting scary, man, how good he is at scoring goals at will. He's truly one of the greatest goal scorers in the NHL at this moment in time. And, time will tell what he will be all time, but like the pace that he gets on, he's already put up 60 plus. God, it's just, last night to me, it was just like, yeah, he scores lots of goals and he gets lots of chances. But last night, it was just like a game where nothing's going right for anybody. And he still just pulls that off like it's a joke. Like, his eyes are closed. It's the first time this year that I really just shook my head and said, this guy's disgusting.
He does stuff that you shouldn't do against professionals in the best league in the world. Like the way he elevates the puck, how quickly he does it, like just flips it. It's insane. The shot, 68th career 2-goal game. His 8th straight 25-goal season, dude. It's December 20th, and he's on pace for 70 plus. But I sort of put like a half-joking tweet, I should say, about him catching Ovechkin and Gretzky. I think people need to pump the brakes because right away after that, the algorithm, it is what it is, with people tweeting how there's no doubt Matthews is catching Gretzky and he's catching Ovechkin. I think you have to put some more stock and credit into how amazing the career has been of Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky specifically, and others, where it's like the longevity. Can Matthews score 50 a year for the next like 9 years? Like, considering health and all that, like you have to give some props sometimes. And to suggest he's going to do it, I still think is far-fetched. I believe in it clearly last week. I mean, I brought it up. I think this guy could be already a top 3 goal scorer of all time, the way he scores. But to do it for that many years, I think what makes it so impressive for the likes of Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, and that's the thing, longevity. You can say he's a phenomenal goal scorer. He can put up 50, 60, on pace for 70, like no question.
Yeah.
But it's not a question of is he a phenomenal explosive goal scorer right now? Absolutely he is. And is he as good as those guys have ever been in a season? Yeah, absolutely he is. But to do that for the length of a career, nobody knows. I mean, look at Nolan Patrick right now, a guy that
I
just
know.
retired after couple of seasons, who was, an endless talent, a second overall pick, and you just don't know what's going to happen in a career, right? Injuries, little slumps here and there. You get into situations where the team's not doing anything around you, and yeah, it just you can't predict the future. So I certainly wouldn't put money on it, but
Yeah.
if anyone can do it, it looks like he's a guy that could try to make a run at it. But there's absolutely no reason to say, "Oh yeah, he's doing it for sure." Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? There's a decade of insane hockey that has to be played before we even have that conversation.
Well, that's the thing that makes Alex Ovechkin so great. I think is his ability to stay in the lineup, the way he plays the game. Like he's just built differently, man. You've played against him. You've seen him in a Vegas casino. He's built like a truck, man. Like, and that's the thing. Like Matthews has had some injury concerns in his career. That's the bigger story for me is like health. Like there's no doubt Matthews has the talent to go on some type of streak like that and record like that year after year after year. But can you stay healthy enough to even flirt with that record? It's my question.
Yeah, to do something like that takes a lot more than talent. There's 1,000 players that are talent coming out of their ears that have played this game who don't even come close to some of the records. You need a lot more going for you, and some of it is luck, right? You got
Yeah.
to be lucky to be on the teams, to have the line mates and teammates, to have the consistency, to have the health issues not rise up. I mean, Austin Matthews has had issues with his wrist before, and I mean, you start banging tendons around and ligaments aren't doing what they used to. All of a sudden, that release isn't there, and you miss 20 games here and there to get some surgery, and the surgery doesn't go right. I mean, what are you supposed to do about that, right? You literally have to have everything go perfectly for like how many years of just ripping goals one after another at a pace that's just fucking alarming for like a decade and a half. Like, I'm sorry, you don't just, you can't just assume that's going to happen. If it does, it's phenomenal feat that's never been done before. And that's what we're talking about. So you can't just toss it up as, oh yeah, he's really good, he's going to do it. Like, settle down, man. It's like almost an impossible feat, which the fact that Ovechkin has even been talked about it, and you can see how fast people take away from, oh, holy shit, he's not going to do it, because you have a little bit of a slow start to a season, which he's having. All of a sudden, it's like, well, shit. Now you crunch the numbers that he's got a little bit behind the 8 ball, and oh man, that's almost like undoable. And he's only getting older. Like, it's very difficult. So we got to pump the brakes on assuming he's just going to break those records.
Any issues with Eric Gustafson not getting the video tribute last night? I know that was one of your favorites last year. He got 3 apples in his return to Scotiabank. Not even a video, nothing, man. He got the Kyle Dubas treatment.
I just think we should give a video tribute to anyone who gets more than 1 point against the Leafs when they come back. And you just got to acknowledge that. And everyone needs to stand, and he needs to wave and then throw some flowers and roses down to the bench, and then have the ice crew come down and pick him up. And everyone's just saluting and blowing kisses. I think that's how it needs to be done.
I think they should just throw bras on the ice, period, every game.
Like
Yeah, I know you would. That'd be a personal favorite as well. But
I'd get the ISO cam going in the crowd.
yeah, exactly. No, I think that would be your bread and butter. We'd probably have somebody on board, one of our sponsors on board for that. But Eric Gustafson makes his return. 3 apples, didn't play very much for the Leafs. People trying to say, oh, they fucked up, didn't re-sign this guy. Give me a break. He's a glorified power play quarterback. He's John Klingberg 2.0. Maybe he's a bit better than John Klingberg, but whatever. He's a New York Ranger now. Good for him.
I love how sometimes when players are on the Leafs, they're absolute fucking bums.
I know.
And when they leave, they're gods of the game, who is just unspeakable tragedy that they're no longer on the roster. It's just like, good Lord, man. Just the market, some of the fans. I mean, some of the fans just, and rightfully so, they're very bitter. They've had their hearts broken for 50 years. But man, like, just sometimes you just can't win with certain fans, and I can't pay too much attention to that. I need rationale to go into your opinions on the Leaf. It's just, if it's just I hate them and everything they do, then it's just like, okay, well, we can't really hang out, because there's no use in that. I hate the negativity. Try to be positive, But yeah, when every guy that's on the roster is a bum and then goes on to a different team and becomes a god, I got to shake my head and roll my eyes.
I was laughing yesterday. I don't know if it was drummed up by the passionate New York media, but Jimmy Vesey made another return and he was throwing daggers at the Leafs organization, saying he should have went to Europe and gone to play there. It's like nobody even cared. There was no response in Toronto. Nobody even built the story, aired the story. They just moved on. It's like, yeah, Jimmy, you finally came home. You did squat. They didn't play you because you sucked, and that's it. But I just thought it was really, really weird that Jimmy Vesey's made returns before, but yesterday, for some reason, he had things to say about the organization. It was just weird.
That is weird, man. I was talking about my other pod, the Department of Discipline, the Hockey Fights one yesterday that, we were talking about, what's his name in St. Louis, Kyrou.
Yeah.
Like, these guys just throw comments out into the media. I think it's the generation of the Twitter and the Instagram and the whatnot that they're just so used to just throwing their opinion out into the media and not thinking about it, not assuming any consequence. And some of the, like with Kyrou, he throws out daggers at Craig Berube. Like, sorry, but that guy's a bigger presence in St. Louis after what he did with their cup run than you are yet. Good player and everything, but you throw daggers at a guy on his way out, expect no backlash at all, just completely do it off the cuff in the media, then go out there, get booed a little bit, if you're a guy that's going to throw daggers out there and throw shade, you think you'd have a little bit of a thick skin. No, he gets a little bit of a pushback, then starts bawling in front of the fucking national media. It's just like, geez, guys, like, this is fucking real life. There are consequences to what you say. People will listen to them and react accordingly. So just another example of someone just throwing shit out into the media, not really thinking about it too much. I don't know. Vesey, I could give a shit.
Reminds me, man, did you see what Devon Taves had to say last night? You want to talk about accountability, a guy who's won a Stanley Cup, a guy who's there for the long haul in Colorado. I think we got some guys who think they're playing well, and I think they're kidding themselves at this point. That was like the key line in his post-game remarks, man. I've been waiting for somebody in this league to just step up on this Leafs team even and just say the truth. Like, we haven't been good enough. Start throwing daggers. Call your teammates out. I think you earn respect that way. And specifically a guy like Devon Taves, he's been an upper echelon defenseman for years. He's likely going to be on Team Canada when they likely go to the Olympics in 2026. Like, he's got some clout and pedigree to his name. He can make comments like that. The Leafs have players like that. I had no problems with it. It's becoming a big story because players don't do it anymore, but I loved it, man.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's got a little buffer room there playing with Cale Makar. That doesn't hurt anybody, but
still, he's a stud, man.
I know, quality player. And yeah, it's funny because I did see that. And then you look at the interview and it's kind of like when after the game, the media scrums, when you got 15 cameras around you and all the big names and the big networks in front of your face, you get the token answers. And then sometimes a kind of just a rock kicker's kicking around. You don't know what the hell who he works for or what he is, but he's hanging out after the fact and kind of says, hey, can I get a couple comments? And just kind of sits beside you in the stall. And I think like that's kind of what it looks like there. It kind of looks like an after scrum effect. And he says what he really thinks. And this day and age, you can't really do that. Whatever you say to anyone with a microphone or a camera, or it's probably an iPhone, some guys have that rocking because it's as good as anything. And then you really open up to one of those because it doesn't seem like this big, intense spotlight media thing, but it gets out. And whether he wanted that or not, I'm sure he did. He didn't care. He seemed to have the balls to say it and he meant it. And I like it when guys open up like that and aren't scared to be like, you know what, I'm pissed off and you asked me about it. Here's my answer. So yeah, and that's leadership too, right? You got to be able to do that. And he's backing it up. And the guys that are backing it up, he needs to be like, hey, listen, you guys, to me, it says that after a loss, guys are chuckling around and happy with their game. And hey, as long as my shit's going well and I had an apple tonight, so I'm joking around in the shower afterwards. It's like, buddy, fucking wakey. We're supposed to be better. We need to be better. You need to be better. Like, let's go. And that needs to be called out once in a while.
Accountability. What also needs to be called out is every Wednesday we look at the Atlantic Division standings. This segment is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. And slowly but surely over the last little while, Rosie, the Leafs have been making ground on the Boston Bruins. I believe the Bruins have been OT in 4 straight games. They've won one of those. They gained a point last night. Marc-Andre Fleury and the Wild go in there and pick up the victory. Of note, Detroit has really struggled with Patrick Kane. I believe they're 1-5-1 since Patrick Kane entered the lineup. Like, there's a lot of moving parts in the division. Ottawa's been stinky. Buffalo's been stinky. Tampa's been up and down. There's opportunity there for the Maple Leafs. They deserve a lot of credit for the ground they've made the last little while.
Yeah, they do, and they have made up ground. There's times there where they're slipping a little bit and hardly hanging on to a wild card spot. And I mean, I don't think we truly thought that they were going to hang out there, but this is such a thick division, man. Everyone thought that like Ottawa and Buffalo is going to really step up this year. Like, you know how hard it is? Look at that. You think that, Tampa doesn't still have some of the big boys that they have. Kucherov is like leading the league. They're very capable. They've got Vasilevsky. Florida is what they've turned into. They're kind of a powerhouse that plays a type of game that I don't think a lot of people want to face in the playoffs. Maple Leafs are who they are, and the Boston Bruins are just this freight train that is going to make up for a lost season last year. It's a scary division, and absolutely the Leafs deserve credit for climbing their way up in this division as much as any other division out there. And yeah, all of a sudden they're peeking over and checking out what the Boston Bruins are doing, and they're kind of within striking distance. And whether they can catch them or not, whatever. Well, it's yet to be seen, but they're in a better position than they were a few weeks ago for sure, because they've rattled off a lot of points here this month, and it's good to see.
What's your read on the Florida Panthers?
What have they been doing lately? Like, I know who they are and what they're capable of and what their identity is, and I really like it. I wish that, the Leafs had a little bit more of that style of play in them. I think they're built for the playoffs, and, with the leadership of Tkachuk and the way he plays, they've got some players out to Sam Bennett, like both guys that Calgary had and managed to lose, but like the way they play, like the way they play with an edge and a snarl and stick up for each other, and they go guns blazing. And I mean, that's what you need in the playoffs, and they showed it last year. So, I mean, they're dangerous. I think they're dangerous, especially in the playoffs. I don't really want to face them. I want someone else to go face them and get beat up by them and hopefully knock them off. But, you don't think it really matters who you play. I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it, but I just know that there's a lot of heavy hitters in this division, man.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you look at Tampa specifically last night, they take care of the St. Louis Blues, a very convincing effort. Mikhail Sergachev goes down in that game, a 6-1 victory for Tampa. But there's always that thought of Vasilevsky lingering, right? And I think come playoff time, goaltending is going to be a big story for the Leafs. It's going to be a big story for other teams too, right?
It always is, man. I mean, people wonder like, oh, why don't the Leafs win? And it's like, fucking what? Nothing's changed. You always win Stanley Cups with goaltending and solid defense and depth. And if we haven't had that in the past, it's like no one rides to the Stanley Cup with a couple of, smoking guns out there who are just firing it around and winning games on their own shoulders. Like there's really nobody that's that good. Connor McDavid isn't that good. It's not basketball. So yeah, the goaltending and the stiff D is what's scary in the playoffs, and it's what I think we need to shore up and figure out and before we hit the playoffs, because it's proven time and time again that it's not good enough. So yeah, those teams that have that in spades are definitely scary teams going to the playoffs, because it's not my opinion. It's a fact that that's what wins playoff series.
Definitely. And I think we're getting set for that game tomorrow against the Buffalo Sabres, Saturday against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And from the Leafs perspective, just right into the holiday break, feeling good about life, right? Like that's the biggest question mark for me, is how are they going to ride into the break? Is it going to be lackadaisical? Because we have seen a bit of structure lately. Like I think you look at that Rangers game specifically, I've been impressed with it. I think it's one of those things that you can build off. Even though you lost, I think there's a lot of positives to grab from that game.
Yeah, I think so. And well, you mentioned what it's like going into the holiday break. Like, think about like kind of everyone's talking about where we're going. Is someone flying this way, or who's hosting, and what are the Euros doing, and whose place are they going to? And you want to do that, and it's like all of a sudden once that last game ends, it's a weird feeling, because it's like we have nothing to prepare for right now. We're able to go off and be free and be loose and lose our focus for a bit and relax. And that's kind of nice. And I promise you, it's way better doing that after you string off a couple wins. The team's going well. The coaches are happy, and they're not fucking dragging their lip around and fucking no who's smiling and laughing. Who thinking like, oh God, you get to leave and chill out and relax. And it's such a nicer feeling. And then when you come back, the biggest thing there is, all right, did you have your relaxation? Did you have your fun? Are you got that out of your system? Time to go back to work. And, you just got to find that when you come back. But it's just better for everybody for those days that you get off, rather than, oh God, I wish, we could get that back tomorrow night and have another crack at it. When you're kind of pissed off that things aren't going well, you like to fix them right away. So going into a break is a lot better, obviously, when you're clicking than when you're struggling.
Definitely. Sorry, I'm trying to do things at once again. I don't think we're gonna be able to connect here with Adam Copeland, unfortunately, but down the road, I'm sure we'll try to get him on once again. It's a fun time of year, though, isn't it? Like the World Juniors, saw the Team Canada played some preliminary action yesterday. Easton Cowan got in the mix, Fraser Minton, and it looks, to start at least, like both these guys are going to have pretty strong roles with the team in the top six. Suck Cowan was on the top line. We'll see if that continues. Matthew Poitras of the Boston Bruins was loaned to Team Canada. Does it excite you, the World Juniors? Like every year, this has been a story in my life where I just get set for the World Junior and I watch religiously over the holiday break.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't put the time into it in the past, but I really want to this year. It's something that's a wicked tradition, unbelievable tournament, means a lot to, those players. We'll have Stewie on our holiday show here this afternoon, and he's played in it, and we'll pick his brain on what that's like. If you've played in that tournament, you're forever on Team Canada World Junior team, and it's huge. So I want to get more invested and involved in it. Throw the TV on and have the games in the background, see how the guys are doing. I like it when it gets down to the rounds and the nitty gritty, and you're getting to the quarters and the semis and see who's doing what. Obviously, cheering hard for Canada. It's a big letdown when they don't perform, but those other countries have shored up their programs. The U.S. has been a big staple in that tournament of being, if you look at them in junior and in the NHL, if we had the Olympics right now, the Americans have some goddamn firepower, and they're scary looking, and you can never count out the Swedes, and the Czechs can be good. It's a great tournament to see who's doing what and who the up and comers are, and those guys take a lot of pride on whether they won that thing or not. So wicked holiday tradition that, like I said, I want to be a little more involved in it this year.
Yeah, and the other countries, as you mentioned, have really, really caught up. The States and the Finns and the Swedes, and I don't know much about some of the prospects happening and going on this year, but I think rest assured it's going to be a very fun tournament. Can only wonder how it is for the kids too, like having the chance to play like in Sweden on a national stage over Christmas. Like it has to be an amazing feel. And yeah, we're gonna definitely reminisce with Stewie a bit. He was on the 05 team, played for Team Canada twice at the World Junior. Just a feel of just representing an entire nation on a national stage. I mean, must be epic and incredible. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to Thursday in Buffalo, the Leafs in town, in town to take on the Sabres. And you're going to have a desperate team, but I think the Leafs have to find a way to take care of business over the next couple here. Inferior opponents, man, we've had this conversation time and time again, but I will say they have been able to get up for the Buffalo Sabres in recent seasons, so I don't feel the way I do about that game that I do against Saturday and the Columbus Blue Jackets, who pounded Buffalo last night.
Yeah, I mean, they got to figure that out. They're coming off a loss, one that wasn't necessarily on them or their, shitty play or anything like that. So you got to understand, hey, things weren't bouncing our way. We got to make up for that. We got to make sure we're ready for this team. If we prepare properly and execute, we will win this game. It's a must that we do exactly that. And, prepare for these two teams coming up. You can't lose focus. You can't start thinking about the holidays and the stuff you're going to do. You got to rock and roll and take care of business so that you can enjoy that break.
And Rosie, our friends over at Covered Bridge are in a giving mood this holiday season. As you know, over the next few days, they'll be giving away 3 prize packs, and it's pretty easy to be eligible to win. All you got to do is follow Covered Bridge on Twitter, aka X at CB Chips, and Instagram at CB_Chips. Plus, like and tag 2 of your friends in their promotional posts about this giveaway for a chance to win an 8-pack of Storm Chips and 1 branded plaid fleece. So that giveaway is coming up. Should also mention as well, the Betano wrap-up is presented by Betano.ca. The game starts now, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Coming up on Saturday, by the way, December 23rd, 9 Eastern time, Betano is hosting a live online trivia show with the biggest prize pool yet at $2,000. No deposit required. All you need to do is have a Betano account to participate, be eligible, which is a lot of fun. So make sure to stay tuned for that with Betano on Saturday. Some of the bets we're looking at tonight, I like Alex Ovechkin to finally score a goal. We talked about him earlier on. Capitals at home to the New York Islanders. 13-game goalless showed for Ovi. We just had that conversation. It's pretty crazy how the narrative can change, eh?
That's a long time for that guy to go without. We talked about his consistency and his ability to like score. I mean, to get to where he is numbers wise, you got to be scoring every other game or more. And I mean, 13 is a big, long road to not even, get a bounce or get that shot off. So I imagine he's gripping it a little bit more than he ever has in his career. I don't know if he's had that big of a gap. If he has, it certainly hasn't been any time recently, and it hasn't been very often. So yeah, monkey off his back. I mean, I wonder what the odds still are. Like, how much do they take into effect the fact that, he is Alex Ovechkin and his numbers are normally going to be, the most likely to be a guy that scores. But if he's on a 3 or 13 game drought, I'd like to see the value in that. But I mean, that thing's not going to last forever. You got to think he's going to crack it here soon.
No, he's a stud, man. I think he's going to find his way again. He's up against it, but he's dealt with a lot of adversity in his career, and he's powered through it. So I still have faith in Alex Ovechkin. Anything else you want to add before we wrap today, Rosie?
I don't think so. Looking forward to our holiday episode, which is coming at 1:30 Eastern, and we're going to have all four of us. What's that?
It's not live.
What?
We're not doing it live. We're recording it, and it's going to be out. I don't know the date yet. We're going to put it out over the holiday break, so you have something to listen to when you're tired as fuck from all the food.
Oh, I get it. Put something out there for the folks that are looking for a little taste of some Leaf stuff there during the holidays. Well, that changes things. All right. Well, I'm glad I got up to speed with everybody else, but yeah, I'm still going to do it in an hour and a half, so I'm looking forward to that. And when we release it, we'll rock and roll. So enjoy that when we announce when we're going to release it. But yeah, I'm going to be filming it here shortly, and hopefully it goes well. I think it will.
I think you're going to smash it out of the park. You always do. So we're looking forward to recording that. We're looking forward to Thursday's show as well, the preview of the Buffalo Sabres game coming up. So lots coming your way here at the Leafs Nation 401, where you can subscribe on YouTube. Many thanks to Aaron and Vic behind the scenes, to Jay Rosehill. I'm Nick Alberga, and we'll talk on Thursday. Take care.
Thank you for watching Leafs Morning Take. Hit that subscribe button and never miss a show. And for more, visit theleafsnation.com. TheLeafsNation.com. If you don't know how to spell the Leafs Nation, you know what I mean? But hey, sometimes you never know.